Multifamily Mindset
podcast. Think bigger.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Multifamily Mindset podcast. I'm Kyle, and today we're diving into one of the most important factors in multifamily investing, finding the right market. It gets a little confusing sometimes, and trying to identify emerging markets is real key to scaling your portfolio, so I want to provide some clarity on this. In today's episode, I'm going to walk you through how to spot an emerging market and the key indicators to watch for, including job growth, population trends, and even local regulations. So let's get right into it. First things first, what exactly is an emerging market? You probably hear us throw this term around left and right, and you might not have a clear idea as to what's going on yet. So essentially, an emerging market is an area that shows signs of rapid economic growth and development, but it's still undervalued compared to some more established markets in the area. These are markets where demand for rental housing is increasing, but prices haven't caught up yet. Essentially, you're getting in early and positioning yourself for solid returns as the area grows. And, of course, thinking bigger means not just focusing on where the market is today, but where it's going to be in the next 5, 10, or even 15 years. But how do you actually spot an emerging market? What should you be looking for? Well, that'll bring me to actually some of the key indicators. First indicator is job growth. A strong job market drives rental demand because people tend to move to areas where there are more employment opportunities. And not just any jobs, you're looking for higher industries that are growing, such as tech, healthcare, education. These tend to attract higher income residents who are willing to pay for quality housing. So, where can you find this data? Well, websites like the Bureau of Labor Statistics or even local city economic development pages are great resources. You'll want to focus on markets where large employers are moving in or expanding because where jobs go, people follow. A good example of this, I'm going to use my own market, Orlando, Florida. Over the past few years, Orlando has seen consistent job growth, driven not only by tourism, with having Disney, Universal, all these theme parks, but sectors like their healthcare industry and tech are actually growing here. And here's the thing, while Orlando might seem like a great spot, we tend to focus on secondary and tertiary markets. So a secondary market over here, for example, could be Lakeland, Florida. Well, why Lakeland? Well, think of it this way. When you're looking at an entire state, right, there's tons of MSAs you can split that up into. But when you think Florida, you might think Miami, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa. But when we think Lakeland, that's not an MSA necessarily that we would originally think about. But you have a smaller market that's between Orlando and Tampa, right? This is benefiting from the growth in both cities. So there's a huge push in logistics with companies like Amazon building distribution centers there. And it's a perfect example of a secondary market where there's job growth and that's happening there. There's also a lot of room for value add opportunities for multifamily properties, which is primarily what we're focused on. The second major indicator is going to be population growth. You'll want to invest in markets where the population is steadily increasing. Look for cities or regions that are experiencing high rates of inbound migration. People are moving for better job opportunities. Remember that. So a lower cost of living is also another reason people might move, or even lifestyle changes. So for example, we'll go back to Florida and we'll take another state, for example, such as Arizona. We've seen massive population booms recently in both of these states in general. A lot of it's been driven by a combination of job growth, lower taxes, and a warmer climate. No offense to some of the people in the north, but you don't want to be shoveling snow the entire day, right? So keep an eye on census data, local reports, and even moving companies that publish migration trends to track this information. But it's not just about how many people are moving to the area, it's also who is moving there. So are we seeing young professionals? Are we seeing families? Are we seeing retirees? This will help you understand what type of rental demand you'll be catering to. Next, we can go over some local regulations. So this is something that sometimes people overlook, but it's extremely crucial. You want to know how landlord-friendly a market is before you invest. Some cities and states have real strict rent control laws or even eviction moratoriums that can really impact your ability to operate profitably. So do your research on the local regulatory environment. Are there zoning restrictions? What's the approval process for permits or renovations? How hard is it to evict tenants if needed? These are some factors that can make a huge difference in how attractive a market is for multifamily investing. In a place like Dallas, Texas, for instance, it's relatively lenient in regulations compared to somewhere like San Francisco, where rent control and tenant protection laws can be more challenging to operate profitably. So those are definitely things that we'll want to look at. Lastly, we'll want to keep an eye on infrastructure and development projects because when a city is investing in roads, public transit, or large commercial projects, it's a sign that growth is happening, or at least it's on the way. Infrastructure improvements make an area more accessible and attractive, driving demand for housing. These projects don't always show up in population data right away, but they're a great indicator of future growth. Pay attention to local news or planning commission reports to stay ahead of the curve. So now that you know what to look for, how do you actually find these markets? Well, let's use some practical steps. If you have access to reports such as CoStar, Yardi Matrix, Zillow, even just local news articles, it'll help you track the job growth, population trends, and rental demand. These platforms provide a ton of market data that can help you make informed decisions. We can also look to network with local brokers and real estate professionals. Remember, they have the inside scoop on what's happening on the ground and can point you towards the next hotspot. So, as I mentioned on my last podcast episode, if you're investing remotely, building relationships with key people in the market is an absolute must. And even just, again, a few days spent touring the area and talking to the locals in the area can help give you valuable insights that data alone won't show. So pay attention to things like the neighborhood feel, development signs, and foot traffic. At the end of the day, finding the right market is just about seeing the bigger picture, identifying where growth is happening before everyone else catches on. You don't need to be local to find the next great market, but you do need to know what to look for. Remember, it's all about thinking bigger. So don't just focus on what the market looks like today, focus on what it could become tomorrow. Job growth, population trends, local regulations, infrastructure and development. These are some key indicators that can point you in the right direction. But, anyways, thanks for listening to this episode of the Multifamily Mindset podcast. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and share with anyone who's ready to think bigger in their multifamily journey. But until then, I'm Kyle. And just as a reminder, keep
Listeners, thank you for tuning into the MFM podcast. We truly appreciate your support and hope you're enjoying the insights from our amazing guests. We have one small favor to ask. Please leave us a review and rating. Your feedback means the world to us. And to show our appreciation, we're giving away some great prizes to some lucky listeners who leave us a review. So today might be your lucky day. So scroll down, share your thoughts, and help us continue to bring you valuable content.
Multifamily Mindset podcast.